this evening in support of this wonderful organization. You will hear this evening from many people sharing tremendous stories of strength and resilience, and as Marshall mentioned, you will also hear songs from local artists, many original works that speak to the impact that United Way organizations have in our community. So without further delay, sans plus tarder, encore j'aimerais vous remercier mille fois d'être ici parmi nous ce soir. I invite you to enjoy the show. Bon spectacle.
And I'm a 17-year-old human rights activist. I'm determined to make my mark on the world, even if it takes all of my life. But preferably it won't take quite so long. So the question that comes up a lot is, what led me to this point? Well, I wasn't originally from Moncton. I grew up in Miramichi, which is a little over an hour away and a lot smaller than here. Growing up in Miramichi, I had few friends and a much smaller circle of support. As a child, I had this ignorant bliss that allowed me to dream. I would play make-believe with my friends, and life could be whatever I made it. Around 5 years ago, my family made the move to Moncton. I started into my second to last year of middle school, and though people were nice, I felt different. It's not that I was the new kid, it's just something was up. I felt like I wasn't living as who I was meant to be. I was going through a change, and even if it felt like I was completely alone, I somehow knew that there was people around me that felt exactly the same. It wasn't just me. In the middle of grade 7, I came out to my mom as transgender. Explaining to her that her daughter was actually a son was surprisingly a lot easier than I thought it would be. The difficult part came when I had to explain to my brother that he was losing his sister, and to my father that he was losing his little girl. I just wished at the time that they could understand that they were gaining a happier brother and son out of it. Losing the connection with them, I also lost the connection with my native community, and I struggled to find a place. We reached out, finding as many people as possible in the community to try and find me a sense of relief, and to allow me to discover who I was and meant to be and how. So we found safe spaces. It's a youth drop-in led by Ensemble and led by an incredible person who made my life so much easier. I finally had a place where I could be myself, and it didn't matter who was watching because they would treat me human like everyone else. Safe Spaces was a place for fun and education for me. Most nights there were spent playing and listening to music, watching movies, and dressing up in the clothes that had been donated to the center. It gave myself and others a place to feel comfortable in our own skin, even if at home we couldn't always express it. I felt such an unconditional love and support from all of the people there, from the friends and from the volunteers that made the place what it was. I felt like I could turn to anyone there and they would just understand how I felt. I finally felt like I had my own community. Instead of fitting neatly into the boxes that had been laid down for me, I could finally be the paint splatter that I was always destined to be. I started into my first year of high school and I began into school theater. Theater brought me a sense of peace. It let me be someone else for a while I was struggling with being myself. I was starting to bring myself out of a low point that I was in because I knew I was the only one who could help myself. I attended a mental health summit with my school, and when we came back, we started a group called RED, which stood for Respect, Equity, and Diversity. Our goal was to teach about the diversity in our school and the multitude of people around us. I started to come out of my shell more. I made friends in school and started to feel hopeful for a happy life. In grade 11, I attended a forum in Toronto on maintaining GSAs, which are gender and sexuality alliances. My goal was to create my own in my school. And in my grad year, I did just that. I started a GSA with my friend, and I was invited back this year in Ottawa to the same forum as a youth mentor. It blew me away that I could have been at such a low point in my life, and that I had swung around and am now at such a good place. The fact that I'm able and supported to have a group that allows people to feel a part of their community was and is incredible. And that Safe Spaces inspired me and provided me with the opportunity to do that amazed me. Now, I focus on creating, sustaining, fighting for, and planning for the spaces that I wish I would have had. I want to be the person that a younger me needed. In my life now, I'm powering through my grad year. And even if it's my last chance, I know that I'll do even more once I'm out into the world. I'll make that change. I know I can achieve great things. Thank you for listening.
It's what I discovered while I poured myself another river, hooked on the land I lingered before I took off another layer. so you can discover how you can take on another layer. Until eyes can meet, until your mind can bend from me, yeah. The moon feels sad, have it all, have it all. The moon feels sad, have it all, have it all. Feels sad, have it all, have it all. Feels sad, have it all, we have it all.
Bonsoir tout le monde. Mon nom c'est Jonathan Brun, je viens de la région de Dieppe, j'ai 24 ans. J'ai gradué à l'école McINTYRE en 2012. Allô? Moi je suis un jeune qui... je suis jeune, non, j'ai 24 ans, j'étais jeune. Je suis victime d'intimidation. Puis aussi, je suis sur l'autre côté d'une médaille, victime qui a intimidé d'autres gens aussi. Fait que moi, comme vous pouvez certainement voir, je me tiens en shape. Puis j'ai tout le temps fait un petit brin taquiner sur le fait que j'étais un plus gros gars. Plusieurs d'entre vous, ça se peut que vous connaissez mon surnom qui s'appelle Boboule. Je suis un animateur à CJSE. Présentement, fait que ça se peut que vous avez déjà entendu mon nom là. Bobo, c'est un nom qui, je me suis fait donner ça, j'avais juste 8 ans, en grade 2. C'était certainement donné en forme d'intimidation envers mon apparence, fait que Bobo, le mot boule est dedans. Fait qu'on se passe à boule, tu sais, c'est comme clair. Moi, j'ai vraiment assumé le rôle de Boboule. Je me suis dit, au lieu de le prendre comme un insulte, je vais prendre le nom, puis je vais faire ça à moi-même. Je vais prendre le nom, puis je vais juste l'utiliser comme mon surnom. Puis rendu 20 ans plus tard, ou à peu près 20 ans plus tard, je fais de la radio sur le nom de Boboule. Je suis un musicien, interprète à temps plein sur le nom de Boboule aussi. Dans ma jeunesse, j'étais peut-être un peu, comment est-ce qu'on dirait ça, en manque de socialisation. J'étais seul, enfant unique à la maison, mes deux parents étaient séparés, j'étais tout jeune à l'âge de 7 ans. Fait que j'étais souvent soit dans ma chambre en train de jouer de ma guitare, ou rendu à l'âge de 12 ans, j'avais l'opportunité et la chance d'aller visiter la maison des jeunes. Qui est une place à Dieppe, juste dans le stationnement de l'école Mathieu-Martin, où tous les jeunes entre 12 à 16 ans se réunissent. C'est ouvert à tous les soirs de la semaine et aussi les fins de semaine, je suis pas mal sûr. Dans le temps c'était ouvert les fins de semaine. On se réunissait là à tous les soirs, tous les fins de semaine, pour faire des activités qu'ils avaient planifiées pour nous autres. Tout le temps, il y avait tout le temps une équipe d'employés qui étaient comme des intervenants qui étaient là pour toi si jamais tu avais des problèmes, quelque chose à parler de, quelque chose que tu ne voulais pas nécessairement demander à maman ou à dad pour l'information. Ce monde-là était vraiment là pour vous autres. Puis moi, avec l'intimidation qui se passait à l'école, c'était pas nécessairement chez nous parce que j'étais enfant unique et j'étais pas très très social, j'avais pas beaucoup d'amis qui soit venaient chez nous, j'allais chez eux, mon sac était pas mal petit. Fait qu'à la maison des jeunes, j'avais la chance d'agrandir mon sac, mais c'est sûr qu'il y a tout le temps le bad apple on the tree, comme on dit. Puis je m'ai tout le temps fait taquiner par une couple de guys qui étaient soit plus âgés que moi, ou un petit peu plus tough que moi, ou whatever the case may be. Puis j'ai tout le temps eu le support que j'avais besoin à la maison des jeunes, que ce soit pour la discipline ou n'importe quoi que c'est. Mon seul message que j'aimerais passer, ce serait virer votre négatif en positif. Moi, je garde ma vie sur le côté positif depuis longtemps et puis je suis très fier de où ce que je suis aujourd'hui avec mon homme au boule, puis tous les accomplissements que j'ai faits tout seul, puis aussi avec l'aide de mes amis que j'ai maintenant et aussi ma mère qui est ici ce soir, qui m'aide beaucoup à travers de tous mes parcours puis mes chemins que je fais. On a eu la chance, Christine a eu la chance d'entendre mon histoire que je viens de vous dire, puis elle a créé une très belle chanson avec ça. Moi, je vais jouer la guitare. C'est pas mal ça. Merci à vous autres.
Poussez-moi jusqu'à ce que je tombe encore plus bas. Tu caches combien que je le sentirai pas. Vous m'avez cerné car j'étais le plus doux. Vous me l'avez fait regretter à chaque coup.
And I'm here tonight on behalf of U-Turns. With 17 community stakeholder partners, including government departments and community agencies, U-Turns is moving the needle on connecting young people to who and what they need for success in school and life. One of U-Turns' core values is that success looks different for everyone. So I am one of 3 U-Turn strategic coordinators in Moncton. The wonderful Sherry Lynn serves in the middle schools that feed in Harrison Trimble and Moncton High. And Kai, who's irreplaceable, works out of Harrison Trimble, but also meets with youth in Portage and the Miramichi Youth Correction Center, with myself working out of Moncton High. We try to be constant, positive adults in the lives of the young people that we work with, and to help make other links to other community partners, caring people, and programs. The following story belongs to a young woman who I admire greatly. I've had the wonderful pleasure of getting to know her over the past year. Tonight, she's chosen to tell her story by video, as her story is still being written, and we wanted to minimize the impact of the first few chapters on the next. Without further ado, here is Olivia.
Growing up, my family moved a lot. My mother could never seem to find a job or place she wanted to stay. Because of this, I've been to 11 different schools in my life. At 10 years old, I shared with my mother an ongoing experience she knew nothing about. I was sexually abused, and it was going on from as young as I could remember, 7 till 10, and she didn't really deal with that situation the greatest. The court recommended for me to be in counseling. I don't know, the issues just got prolonged. She just figured out one day and decided to move away. I was relieved we were moving, as I was also bullied for my appearance. I thought that I could start over and move on like nothing ever happened. Life was going smooth for the first bit of grade 5. I had a handful of friends and my parents seemed to be happy with her job, but it didn't take long for the other kids to start bullying me. A year went by and my mother had moved on to a new relationship. They had been together for a few months now. I still lived in the same house and same school, but now there was a new boyfriend. I wasn't doing the best in school as the bullying still remained. My relationship with my mother was beginning to fade. It was like my life was falling down like dominoes. 2012 was the first year I spent without my 2 oldest brothers. It was my youngest brother, my mom, me, and the boyfriend. A couple of months before Christmas, my oldest brother, mom, and the boyfriend got into an extreme argument. The result was my mother choosing between the boyfriend or her kids. A couple of days later, she dropped off my oldest brother to her biological father. A month later, my second oldest brother followed. 2013, the summer came and my mother wanted to move back to the place I had bad experiences and previous bullying issues. She was offered her job back and the boyfriend was offered one as well. Money-wise, it was a perfect opportunity, but I got to relive a nightmare I thought I'd never see again. We ended up living there for 2 years, and once again, my mom wanted to move. She couldn't stand living there anymore, and the boyfriend missed his family. She hated her job and wanted something new. Our relationship was also gradually falling apart. I felt so guileless on what would happen next. I felt like she didn't even see there was a problem. She made no effort to change it. But yet, I still picked up my tumbled over dominoes and hoped my life was heading in a better direction. 2015, I started grade 9 at a new school. I wasn't excited as I was sick of switching schools. I was a very anxious and depressed teenager who just wanted to feel stable. At this point, I was so used to life tugging on the rug I stand on, I always expected the worst to come. The new year came and my mom tried to ask me if I wanted to move back to the same place I had bad experiences. I was shocked. We had just moved away from there 6 months ago, and she already wanted to go back. She doesn't even like living there herself. The only good thing there was the money, and the only reason I was willing to go was because she wanted to leave the boyfriend. All of our belongings had already been shipped away except for the suitcase. 2016, February 22nd, the night before we were supposed to leave, I ran away. My mother was lying when she had said she was leaving the boyfriend. The truth was they wanted to take a break, and then my mom would move back in 6 months. But for me, this drew the line. I was done with my mother and being selfish and only thinking of herself and lying. I ended up hopping houses for the year of 2016. Throughout this adventure, I lived with different friends and family. I became an uncontrollable teenager. I lived in a group home for a couple of months. Then I met this girl at school who I grew to be close friends with. And one day, she jokingly asked me if I wanted to live with her. Somehow that joke became the truth, and her mom fought for me to live with her. While living with this friend, I met a boy on Facebook. We ended up dating. Within no time, I lived with him. I got kicked out of my house the Christmas of 2016, and my boyfriend said I could stay with him. We ended up with no place to stay and we were couch hopping. We had no money, and when we did, we spent it on speed. This lasted for 2 months before I finally gave in and called my mom's boyfriend to pick me up. This was the first time I had spoken, or they had heard from me, in months. When I got home, the first thing my mom did was got me in clean clothing, then told me we were going for a drive. She drove to her friend's house and told me to come inside, that we would only be there for a second. The first thing that my mom's friend said to me was, "What the fuck happened to you?" I had no words. I had just been picked up from a trap house, was coming down off of speed. What was there to say? This friend is now where I live. My mom once again moved back to the place I will never return, and I found a forever home. I never have to worry about sleeping on another couch because I have a family, a home with the best mother I could ever ask for.
Distant from me, she's as deep as the sea. She can see right through me. This house is crumbling apart. The door's so crooked they're welded shut. Walls are crying in breakups, but the rooms are warm
Laura Carlton. I have been attending the Atlantic Wellness Center since 2016. During the summer, shortly after I graduated from high school, is when I made my way through their doors for the very first time. By that point, my mental state was at an all-time low. While I was still in high school, I participated in any club or activity I could be a part of. I tried to do so much so that on paper, I would look like the most well-rounded student. In the process of trying to be the best version of myself, I forgot all about my well-being, let alone my mental health. In person, I seemed like the girl who had it all. But just below the surface, I was constantly battling with my depression and anxiety. My mental illnesses took a toll on me daily, and so did my life as a student. My lack of time for myself turned into a lack of all my basic needs, like sleeping and even eating. With all the stress I put on my body, mixed with the lack of food I was putting back into it, I developed an eating disorder. Even before reaching that point, I had always had an unhealthy relationship with food. Growing up, I was picked on for being heavier than most of the kids my age. Food was comforting, and I was very fortunate to be able to rely on always having it in my home. But when I stopped making time to eat, I noticed the behavior around my body had changed. People actually noticed me, and they were complimenting me. They started saying things like, "You're glowing," and asking me, "What's your secret?" My secret wasn't what I told them, because telling someone you have an eating disorder is frowned upon, but lying about hitting the gym more often is congratulated. Over time, having no healthy habits or coping strategies, my life became a recipe for disaster. When I finally graduated, I went from having barely any time to myself to having an abundance of free time. I lost my sense of purpose because I felt like I had nothing to be a part of or belong to. From there, my life quickly spiraled. I began to have panic attacks more frequently. Even the smallest tasks were overwhelming. I often lashed out at others so that they would feel the same pain that I was going through. I felt like I had no control over my body or my mind. It was a paralyzing feeling I thought I would never return from. At the time, I didn't really know how to tell anyone I needed help. I feared that I would come across like I was looking for attention. I ended up isolating myself the entire summer. It got to the point where I lost interest in all the things I once loved. I had no appetite to eat, and most days I wouldn't even bother leaving my bed. And then there was one day. I tried to pull myself out of bed to just take a shower. Before I had even had the chance, I ended up breaking down about how miserable I was at the time. I crawled into a fetal position and cried until my mom finally found me. And when she did, I told her how I no longer wanted to live anymore. It hurt too much, and I couldn't take it any longer. I had been in such a dark place that I never expected to live past 17. The thought of dying became more comforting than living, because then I knew that I would no longer be suffering. Afterwards, my mom brought me to the Moncton Hospital. Since we didn't know where else to go at the time, I spoke with a mental health nurse who told me that based on my appearance and the way I had once performed in school, that I couldn't be depressed. After all the pain and suffering I had been through, that experience hurt the most. During my trip to the hospital, I was given information about Atlantic Wellness in hopes that they could treat me there. Shortly after, I had my first session with a therapist on staff who's still treating me today. Atlantic Wellness changed my life. They have given me so many tools that I needed to be successful while dealing with my illnesses. They taught me how to be the actual best version of myself and not just on paper. They pushed me through my dark days and shared the best ones with me. Atlantic Wellness became the support system I was lacking all along. Even though I constantly pushed my loved ones away, that never stopped them from trying to make me feel better. And I will be forever thankful for the people who supported me in that time. I never thought I would have made it this far, or to have the opportunity to share my story in hopes of helping other people on their personal journey. Atlantic Wellness has given me a platform because they believe in me. Them believing in me allowed me to believe in myself. I have been given so much more than just counseling sessions. they have given me stability so that my parents could have their daughter back, so that I had the opportunity to graduate from college. And most importantly, I lived to turn 20 because they saved my life. I want to thank everyone for your support. The United Way is giving growing therapy centers like Atlantic Wellness the opportunity to save lives daily. All of you are changing the lives of youth today so that they too can see a brighter tomorrow. Thank you for listening to my story.
Everything, I'm problem
currently enrolled at Oldham College for Child and Youth Care. I started going to the Boys and Girls Club when I was about 2 years old after getting kicked out of my previous daycare. You see, when I was young, I grew up in a low-income household with my mom and 2 older brothers, Nikki and Jesse. Where I come from, and I'm sure for a lot of you folks, family is the most important thing, so I'm going to tell you a bit about mine. So, first there's my mom. She is like a living angel and will do anything for anyone. But when I was really young, she would get sick, and she'd get hospitalized for weeks and months at a time. That resulted in me and my brothers being split up and placed with different family members. But she got better every single time, and she would start to babysit, and she even worked at the YMCA at the adult day. The biggest lesson she taught me is that you can bounce back, even after a bad situation. So then there's Nicky. Him and I are very close. He's a musician, loves comics, classic rock, and he's very similar to my mom. He doesn't have a bad bone in his body. Me and my brother Jesse actually had a joke when we were younger because we always knew Nicky was the good one. So we'd always blame stuff on Nicky just to see who Mom would believe. It never worked though. She always knew it was me. Every time. So basically the biggest lesson Nicky taught me was if you be good, you get rewarded. Then there's Jesse. He's my oldest brother, and he's been in and out of jail since he was about 18 years old. He's one of those people where you love him, but you hate him, but you love to hate him, and you wouldn't have it any other way. As I said before, my mom, when she was hospitalized and she'd come home and she'd be sick, she'd stay on the couch for a lot of the day. She'd only really get up to cook us meals. So Jesse took on a parenting role at a very young age. So the biggest lesson I learned from him was to protect those you love. And then there's me, and honestly, I was born bad. I used to scream and cry for my brothers when I was in the crib, and they'd finally come to see me, and I'd tell them I'd want a hug. I'd never give them a hug, I'd slap them across the face and then laugh. That's just how I was. And it only got worse as I got older. So you might be wondering, where's my dad? Well, I used to go visit him and my stepmom and my 2 younger sisters every 2-3 weeks. There came a point where I could no longer see them. You see, my dad was a great man. I loved him more than anything, and he was my world. I'd do anything for him. But when I was about 1 or 2, he was in a bad accident. He fell at work, he fell off a ladder, and he broke both of his feet. And on the way to the hospital, the cab driver also ran over his feet. So it resulted in him breaking both of his feet, as I said. And to top it all off, he got addicted to his pain medication, which definitely changed him for the worse. Don't get me wrong though, he would get clean and he'd be the same man that I knew and loved, my king. But he'd always go back to the drugs, and he would change. The once lovely, sarcastic man I loved turned into a stranger. I remember when I was 7, he got so mad because he had left the car lights on that he grabbed a bat, and he smashed the car to bits with me and my little sisters inside. But that wasn't even the worst. He would kidnap people, fight, and he even bit a guy's nose off, believe it or not. After many years of fighting a battle, on July 11, 2013, 3 days before my 14th birthday, he passed away of an overdose, and it just absolutely crushed me. Now as an adult, I understand why he did what he did. It was either pain so painful that he couldn't walk, or get so drugged up that he couldn't feel anything, physically or mentally. He was just trying to survive. So after his death, I went off the edge. I started to isolate myself, and I actually stopped going to the Boys and Girls Club, which is a huge deal for me because I was there every single day. The staff there soon noticed, and they sent me a bouquet of flowers and a card that was signed from all the staff. This meant so much to me because I couldn't exactly talk to my mom about my dad because she wasn't the biggest fan of him. So she kind of pushed his death aside 3 or 4 days later, and it was just something we didn't talk about. So to see the staff
the ones that I loved, respected, and looked up to so highly, take time out of their day to send me this little gift just absolutely meant the world. I started to go outside again, but I would still isolate myself. No boys and girls club, no hanging out with friends, just me and my music. There was one staff in particular though. He saw me sitting at the park one day, and he came to talk to me about what had happened. And I'll tell you right now, he was super apprehensive about it because I had a history of getting upset and hitting people, but that didn't happen. I was just so thankful that he had came to talk to me about it, and for that, I just couldn't thank him enough. So before all that stuff happened, as I said, I was very involved with the Boys and Girls Club. I started volunteering at only 10 years old, and the staff knew if they needed help with anything, they could ask me. Since I proved myself at such a young age and had such a great relationship with the staff, they offered me a job in September of 2013, at only 14 years old. See, the staff saw the potential I had and didn't want it to go to waste, so they took a leap of faith and hired me. And for this, I could never thank them enough. So for the next few years, I still had my troubles. I was kicked out of school every other day. I was hanging out with the bad kids. We were doing drugs, selling drugs, and we even stole a few cars. But when I worked, I didn't care about that. I put all my problems behind me, and I just paid attention to the people I was working with, and I excelled at what I did. The Boys and Girls Club helped me find my passion and allowed me to put my skills to the test at a very young age. They also helped me work on things that I may not have been so good at. And because of this, I became a very good youth worker. And it's because I get a deeper understanding of each individual and their needs. And believe it or not, the kids actually listen to me. I'd like to say it's because I've been in those shoes, but I think I'm just good at making relationships with people. Now at 19 years old, I'm still working at the Boys and Girls Club, and I still love it. I love the staff and the kids I work with. And if you haven't worked with us, you wouldn't understand, but this job isn't just a job, it's a family. Any staff you meet has a lesson to teach, and every child I've ever worked with has taught me something new. The two most important life lessons I've learned actually came from the Boys and Girls Club. The first one was from a staff who worked there when I was a kid. He told me that where you come from does not define who you are. We're not in charge of what life throws at us, but we are in charge of how we react to it. And then the second one was from an 8-year-old little boy I work with. See, this guy has a lot of things going on. He also lives in low-income housing, he has a single mom, and he gets bullied often. So one day he came up to me and he told me what he thought about the bullies. And what he told me just absolutely blew my mind. He wasn't mad, he understood. And he told me that the kids in his neighborhoods are just like lobsters. They are very hard and tough on the outside, but once you get on the inside, they're really soft and squishy. Pretty smart for an 8-year-old that he'd come up with that, right? So this is something I think about every single day, because it's really true, right? Everybody puts on a fawn. Some tough, some quiet, and some bad. But once you look into the person, you'll see the awesome person they've been hiding all this time. This goes for kids and adults. So I have a challenge for all of you. The next time that someone upsets you, whether it be a friend, a family member, or a stranger, I want you guys to try and understand what they did, why they did the thing they did. Because no one's born bad. They've just been mixed up along the way. Maybe if people can understand this, we more as a society will be more accepting and understanding of people and the issues they face. So I just wanted to say another big thank you to the Moncton Boys and Girls Club for helping me and so many other youth over the years. Also, for helping me become the person I am today. I couldn't ever repay them for everything they did for me, but I have my mind set on helping every person I come in contact with. So if I opened even one person's eyes tonight, I accomplished what I came here to do. Thank you guys for listening.
these halls, like moving through old streets. The strides are easy, but the rhythm is mine. It's always the same here, new faces with old fears. I'm like a needle stuck in a track. It's all coming back.
We'll get you guys to do that again in a little bit. So hello everyone, my name is Nai.
And I'm Kayla.
And we both work on the United Way campaign. So we would just like to say a few thank yous to our regional presenting sponsor, Atlantic Lottery, for their support, which really allowed us to put on this amazing event. We want to recognize their ongoing support since 1993, organizing campaigns, doing special events, being part of the Day of Caring, and contributing to communities throughout Atlantic Canada. Thank you as well to our regional leading sponsors, Rogers Communications and Scotiabank, who have jumped on board to ensure the success of this evening. For the first time in our United Way history, we have 3 corporate partners that are sponsoring Songs of the Cities across the Atlantic provinces this year, so that's absolutely amazing. Thank you to our local gold sponsor, Enbridge, our media sponsor, Buzz Local, and the beautiful Capitol Theatre for this amazing venue. Ces commanditaires ont rendu cette soirée possible, mais ils en font beaucoup plus dans nos communautés. Ils nous appuient depuis des années et ont changé la vie de milliers de personnes avec l'aide de leurs employés.
And this evening absolutely would not have happened without Mélanie LeBlanc, the real maestro of the night. Mélanie a joué un rôle instrumental dans ce que vous avez vu ce soir. Elle a travaillé avec chaque participant et musicien pour créer la parfaite combinaison et la magie. And of course, our incomparable MC, Marshall Button, who has been involved with our United Way for many years, previously as a campaign chair and now as a board member. Merci aux musiciens qui ont été touchés et inspirés par les moments durs et les succès des individus qui sont montés sur scène ce soir pour partager leur témoignage. And of course, last but not least, our amazing storytellers. Thank you for sharing your stories and your talents with us tonight. It takes a really special and courageous person to come out here on stage in front of all these people and be as open as you did. And no one knows the impact of the programs like you. There aren't enough words to thank you for being with us.
Cet événement, c'est une soirée pour vous dire merci. So thank you for being our donors, our partners, our supporters. You're dedicated to our communities and to the people who need it the most. We hope that these stories showed a little bit, a small part of the impact of your donations and your contributions. You're truly changing people's lives, and we can't thank you enough for being with us year after year, showing your local love. So let's give them another round of applause.